Thank you for tuning in to the latest edition of the 12 Kyle podcast. Whether you're listening during your commute, while working out, or just relaxing at home, we appreciate you. Every download, every listen, and every subscription means a lot. Up next, the 12 Kyle podcast.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for listening. Thank you for downloading. And thank you for subscribing to the latest edition of the 12 Kyle podcast. I am your boy, 12 Kyle. Man, check this out. On this episode, I'm sitting down with a good friend of the show. She's actually been on the podcast a long time ago. But we go way back. We go back like dollar hoagies and Tahitian treats. We go back like fat shoestrings and car seats. Welcoming back into the podcast, a good friend of the show, my girl Nadia. Nadia, what's up?
And nothing much, Kyle. Nothing much. Just a lot of living and a lot of going.
I know, and that's a good thing, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
It is so good to see your face and to hear your voice. Let's get to it, man. We have you and I think I checked my text message. I think the last time we chatted was, and you can hear Nadia's dogs in the background just having a party. Don't mind them. They're just having a party. I think the last time we chatted was on your birthday last year, which you recently celebrated your 40th birthday.
I'm not afraid to tell my age. I am 48 years old, people. I am 48 years young. I am beautiful. I'm happy.
There you go. Well, I know, some women, they don't be, too keen on the age. So
yeah, they don't like to tell their age, but I look at it as every day is a blessing. God gave me every bit of these 48 years. So I'm going to enjoy it. I'm going to tell everybody, and I'm going to tell everybody proudly.
Right. And it's funny because you said it, because I remember for so many years, like, I didn't know how old my mom was. My mom was, I was like, I didn't know how old she was.
Oh my goodness.
Seriously. I went years without knowing. I mean, like, I really found out how old my mom was maybe about 10 years ago. And so after that, it was just like, oh, okay, well, she's this age. And, but you growing up, man, you ain't ask your mama how old she was.
Mm-hmm.
You ain't ask your mama how old they were. So, but yeah, 40, you just at the time of this recording, you recently turned 48.
Yep.
I reached out to say, hey, what's up? Happy birthday. Cause I put it on my calendar, and what I made sure that I did was that I made sure that I put for all my friends, I try to put the year, so I'll know how old they're turning. Cause I don't want to wish you a happy 49th and it's your 50th, something like that. So I got a notification. It was like, Nadia's birthday today. So I was like, okay, let me shoot her a text. I shot you a text, and you responded back, and you hit me with some news that I did not know. So for those of you who are listening who knows Nadia, and many of you do, because again, Nadia and I we go so far back, like
eclectic discussion board. When there were still discussion boards, when we got together and we would sit up here, and Eclectic would sit up here and give us these great questions, and we would respond to them, and then we would comment, chat it out, talk about it. We weren't trying to put nobody down. It was positive. It was fun. It was just that's how we first met.
That's how we first met.
That's how we first met. Yeah.
That was 2008.
So that was 16 years ago.
Yeah. So it's been that long. And Nadia is one of the few people who I met online and then got a chance to meet in person. She actually came to my crib. So
man, Kyle was so instrumental in me starting my blog at the time.
Yes.
And he told me what I needed to do, and he explained to me what blogging was. And I started my blog at the time. It was a chaotic mind. It was a terrible thing to waste. Mm-hmm. And I did it I kept up with it fairly frequently, and he helped me out a whole lot. So because of that, I was like, okay, I went to North Carolina for one of my birthdays. And I drove through and I said, well, you know what? Kyle on the way back. So I'll just stop and see Kyle. So I got a chance to see Kyle. I got to meet his kids and Sharice and it was only one time. I hate that, but we gonna work it out to see each other again.
We will. We definitely will. We definitely will. So like you said, we go back that far, and it's funny because Eclectic and I, we haven't recorded together, which is kind of crazy, in probably about 6 months, but we text and stuff all the time. And I've actually probably about 2 years ago finally met him.
Really?
Because he came to Atlanta, we hung out, and he is just as crazy in person as he is
I believe
online.
I believe.
But a good dude. I don't tell him I told you he's a good dude, but he's a good dude. And so it's a lot of people I know that are tuning in that seeing and hearing you for the first time, at least for a while, at least on this platform. But yeah, you shared some news with me the other day when I reached out that I took it back. So share with the people what you told me.
So because Kyle is such a good friend and I hadn't talked to him since my birthday last year, I didn't want to, I didn't want to tell him, or I didn't really want to let a whole lot of people know that I was diagnosed with breast cancer in March 15th to be exact. That's when they finally confirmed it. And then I started undergoing cancer treatment April 1st. And I did 12 weeks of chemotherapy weekly, like every Thursday. And I say around mid-July, no, it was July 11th. I'll take it back. July 11th, I had to start a brand new drug and I had to do 4 treatments of that. And then, and that was a bi-weekly treatment. They took me off of the weekly and then put me on a bi-weekly treatment. And then once I got through with those treatments, I had surgery on September 18th where I had a double mastectomy. Totally my call. Didn't have to. According to my doctor, there was no traces of the cancer left. After my treatments, we went ahead and did the double mastectomy anyway because it didn't make sense to keep the things that were killing me. You know, that I had a tumor, and I'll tell you about that process of how it got diagnosed and everything. I had the tumor, and it was no point. So because of what I went through with the chemotherapy, I went ahead and had them both cut off. So I won't have to go through it again. If I do, it'll be somewhere else. And then I think September 25th, my doctor got my pathology report from the breast tissue and from the lymph nodes and said I was free and clear. I didn't have to do another treatment of chemotherapy, didn't have to do radiation. And the only thing I could say was God. Yes. It's all God. It was all God.
Such a blessing. Such a blessing.
Yes,
man, that I can't tell you what I felt when I read that, because I didn't expect sending you a happy birthday text. I didn't expect to get that in return. But and I had to, like I said, I had to scroll back to realize like when the last time we chatted, because time just floats.
Yes.
And you see people. Sometimes we see people on, we have friends and stuff online.
Right.
We see them and we think everything's cool, and we just keep it moving because someone's posting something or posting their dogs or their friends or their kids, and you think everything's cool. So yeah, I was really shocked but happy at the same time to get the words that you gave me. So let's go back. I mean, like, and it's crazy that this is Breast Cancer Awareness Month. So shout out to all of the survivors, all the people that are fighting. How were you initially diagnosed? Was it something, were you feeling bad, or what happened?
No, it wasn't. I really didn't know, Kyle. I mean, the funny thing about it is that I've always gone to my mammograms, always done my self-examination. And it just so happened that I went to my well woman's exam, which I was working on the bottom half of my body.
I like the way you put that.
Yeah, I was working on the bottom half of the body. And my doctor just was giving me an exam, and she was poking around on my right breast, and my right breast, your left. And she said, there's something here. Is this normal? I'm thinking it's a skin tag. I didn't know anything better. And I was like, no, it's normal. It's okay. And all this other stuff. And then I pressed on it, and I was like, wait a minute, what is this? And it felt like, it just felt like a hard mass right up under your breast, right up under your skin. And it just didn't feel right. And so, she's like, well, if it's not something weird, just let me know, and we'll just hurry up and we'll get you in. And so I went to her and I said, yeah, let's go ahead and let's do a mammogram, because I don't know what this is.
Right.
And so when we did the mammogram, they said it was a mass there and that they needed to do an ultrasound. They did the ultrasound, and they said, well, we want to go on and bring you in for a biopsy. They did the biopsy, and that's when they said it was triple negative invasive ductal carcinoma.
Okay.
Which is cancer of your tubes, your lactating tubes. And which is weird, because I've never been pregnant. I don't have no children, so it was kind of weird to see it that was growing. And once they diagnosed it, I wasn't in shock per se, more of denial. It's not there. It's not there.
Right.
It's there, but it's not there, And then all of a sudden, it was a whirlwind. It moved so fast. I had to see my surgical oncologist. I had to see my basic cancer, oncologist. And it was just, it was a whirlwind so fast. And I didn't tell my mom and my sister until I knew for sure what it was. I didn't want to say I found a lump and then being like, oh, it was just a cyst or anything. I wanted to make sure they knew what it was before. And I told them, and I said something about my mom. Me and my mom had a conversation. I was like, if I really need you, I know you'll be here, because I'm in Cincinnati now. Everybody is down in Texas. And so I said, Mom, I need you. And she said, I know not. I know you. I need you, but I can't come. She said, but I'm sending your sister. And so my sister has been here with me majority of the time here. So I wasn't completely alone. I told my friends that are in my circle right now, my local friends, I told them. I didn't want to tell a lot of my good friends, because they have been going through family with cancer and stuff, and I didn't want them to go through it. I told just pretty much immediate family. And they were like, well, you gotta fight, man. I'm fighting to be nosy. I got to know what's going on. I need to know who's going to be president this year. I need to know what's going to happen to me. And I darn sure know I need to be able to live to see my 48th birthday. So I was fighting to be nosy. So that was how the process started. It was basic well woman's exam, and it flew from there. That's the best way I can say it.
Wow. I know you gave the timeline. How in that period of time, how it sounds like it all happened at once, but what was your, like, I'm sure it was emotional, but what were you like? Because I know how you are. You're very passionate and you're very strong, but also, getting that kind of news can send anybody, crazy.
Emotional wise, I had to take my moments when I could get my moments.
Got it.
When I first found out is probably when, emotionally I would cry, break down, it would hit me. I haven't gotten to that point where, I had gotten to the point where I was not expressing myself. And one of my best friends was telling me, she's like, you got to let it out because it will consume you. And so I'd say March 15th is when I got the diagnosis. It was the Wednesday a week before that we found the lump.
Mm-hmm.
And like I said, I had to wait till that Tuesday to have the mammogram, and then it was that Friday, which is the 15th of March, that told me that I had the cancer. And
Mm-hmm.
I think it was more of when I saw the doctor and he started laying out the reality, what my reality was about to be. Because I worked the entire time I was sick.
Oh, wow. Really?
Yes. I was able to
during chemo and everything?
During chemo and everything, I worked.
Wow.
Unfortunately, I'm the only one here, so I had to pay the bills. I was blessed with the fact that I had enough PTO that if I had to take days off, I was okay.
Okay.
But I still applied for FMLA so they wouldn't just think I was just calling in and calling in and calling in. So I had to tell my job. I only had one accommodation, and that was I couldn't work weekends because the treatments were every Thursday. But I think it was right after he finally was, laid out my reality. 12 weeks of chemo, and then I had another 4 to 8 weeks of another drug of chemo before. And when it finally hit me, I was sitting on the phone, I was talking to my sister, and I just started crying because you don't think it'll happen to you. It's not one of those situations where you just go looking for, hey, I want you to get cancer. No, it's just not one of those situations. But when it comes down to it, up until this point, nothing really heavy has ever happened to me. God's plan. That's all I can say. God's will, God's plan.
Right.
And, someone asked me, it was one of my coworkers asked me, why you? And I was like, why not me? What makes me so special that I'm not allowed to go through the journey that millions of women have gone through before and probably will go after me?
Thanks.
And I did that for a long time, trying my best not to ask, why me, why me, why me? And so it actually got to a point where I was like, well, God, I know you're trying to teach me something out of this. What is it? And still hasn't answered me. But it's all about your perspective going through it. And emotionally, every once in a while you'll see me, I was a wreck. And then the other time it was just me, I had to keep my positivity up. I had to keep my spirits up. I just did not want to be seen as one of those, oh, she's a sick lady, she got cancer and all this stuff. They knew.
Right.
But I don't really think everybody who saw me, they were like, oh, you look real good going through. I was like, yeah, I look good, but I don't feel good. I don't feel good at all.
But like I said, when we first got on, and again, I told you off air, you look, as soon as I saw you, I said, you look good. Not that I expected you to look bad, but I mean, like, you look like Nadia, like you've always had. You just a little less hair. That's it.
Man, I had grown my hair for 2 years before.
Really?
Yeah. And my hair was a nice afro.
Right.
And yeah.
I think I remember. Yeah, I think I remember seeing a picture or something.
Yeah, it was a huge afro. And before anything could even happen, before I even started chemo, I just went to the barber and I said, cut it all off. I said, it's gonna come off anyway. Just cut it all off. And I went to work, and one of my coworkers sat up here and she said, you really told cancer you. And I said,
I love it.
she's a little old lady too. She never heard her sit up here. I mean, you just told cancer, fuck you in every way.
Right.
And I said, well, I knew I was going to lose it. I tried my best not to, but I knew I was going to lose it. And I rather, I didn't want to see it come out in clumps like most people see.
Right.
I did see it come out, but it was not as jarring as if you just see nothing but you're doing your hair and all of a sudden your hand.
Right. You're literally pulling your
You're
hair
literally
out.
pulling out your I didn't know it wasn't that. But it did. I did lose it, but they didn't he didn't get to take my full afro. He didn't get to take my beauty crown.
And you're gonna grow it back.
Yes. It's growing back now, actually.
I see.
I look like my daddy in the back. And I got my mom's peach fuzz. So
yeah, it looks
but it's
good.
growing back, yeah.
I know you, like I said, you've always been positive, and you mentioned that just now. How hard was it to stay positive through all of this? Because you're, like I said, you're not a negative person, and you're direct, but you're funny, and you always, got a joke or something for the room, and something to cheer people up. That's always been your personality. So how did you maintain that on the days that you just didn't feel good at all? Because I'm sure there were a lot of days where you didn't feel good.
Really and truly, it was just God's spirit just giving me the strength to keep my spirit up. There was many days, like there were days I wanted to cuss people out because I got tired of people asking me, "Well, how are you feeling?" or "How are you doing?" or anything. On my blog, there's an entry where I set up here and I told people, if you ever are around people with cancer, stop asking people how are they feeling, because first of all, I have cancer. How do you think I'm feeling?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? How do you think a person is feeling at that particular moment? And you might catch that person on a bad day, really catch that person on a bad day, and you'll get one of those like, I'm not feeling good, get out of my face. And you don't want to do that to people.
Right.
You really truly don't want to do that to people. So it took a lot of, like I say, it took a lot of God strength. It took a lot of willpower to kind of keep your spirits up. I didn't want to dwell on the fact that I was sick. Hell, I think halfway through, before I finally started acknowledging that I was diseased, it's you spend you spend so much time, so many years of the fact that you've been relatively healthy, and then all of a sudden you're just thrown this blow. And chemotherapy is taxing. It's not as bad as it was.
Okay.
They gave me some great nausea medicine, so I wasn't vomiting a lot, and I wasn't having a lot of diarrhea. I didn't have diarrhea until towards the end of chemotherapy treatments, when they changed my drugs. But it does. It takes a lot of willpower, and me, I'm always looking at the fact that I want other people to laugh at me.
Right.
So it would always come down to people talking to me, and I just wanted to see them laugh. So if they laugh, I got a chance to laugh. I started, it made me feel good.
Right.
Being able to help people laugh.
Because that's what you do. You make people laugh and at whatever.
Yes.
At themselves, at you, or whatever the case may be.
Yes, and that to me is, I guess you could say, is a joy in my life, because I don't like stuff that's serious all the time, unless it has to do with my career or something heavy is going down. Then yes, let's be serious. But life is, I don't want to say it's like a box of chocolates. It's just, life is just a time where you need to live. And I think a lot of living comes in laughter, and laughter just levitates the entire thing.
Facts. Big facts.
Yes.
Yeah, it's amazing. And just even hearing your story, it brought back so many memories, because like like I said, we go so far back. And when you said in the text, well, I didn't want people to feel sorry for me, so that's why you're just now hearing about it. And it made sense. I ain't one of those people like, man, you ain't tell me you was sick. I could have prayed for you. I mean, we're gonna pray for you anyway. But I mean,
Right.
that's regardless. We talked a lot about faith. There's the old saying that a lot of times we're tested for our testimony.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think your testimony has been or will be being a cancer survivor, the way that you kick cancer's ass, basically?
There's nothing I went through this entire time that God wasn't there with me. Even though there were times when I felt like he was far away from me, I know that he was with me. I can attest to the fact that after about 2 or 3 sessions of chemo, the tumor was gone. Like, I couldn't feel it anymore. I don't know if it was gone or not, but I couldn't feel it anymore. And it was just it was, and I didn't want to believe it, that it was shrinking. I didn't want to believe, because I didn't want to overstep my bounds, because anything could happen with chemotherapy.
Right.
That's a whole nother conversation when it comes to chemotherapy and the side effects and everything. So my testimony will be that it came, I fought, I kicked its behind on to the next trial. Because you're not gonna live a trial-free life. Not Jesus is not gonna allow you to do that. God's not gonna allow you to do that. A lot of the reasons why we go through so much of our trials and tribulations is to see our response, our reaction. And my reaction was, I had to draw closer to God in a way that I have never, ever, ever drawn closer to him. And I've had so many people who have come in my life. I lost friends through this.
Wow.
I've gained friends through this. And my testimony is, without God, I probably wouldn't have been able to sustain it, not by myself.
No.
Because there were so many days, Kyle, when chemotherapy would hit me, and I'm just like, God, take it away. Take it away, God. God, you got to take it away. You got to take it. You got to take it. Because I can't do it. I can't do it. And it's taxing. It really is. It's really taxing on your body. And it just nights until I would just go to sleep. And I knew he took care of me in that sleep.
Wow.
So that would be my testimony.
How big was your sister and your pets? My
dogs wouldn't let me sleep by myself.
Really?
They always slept with me, but they've always slept with me. But usually they will go and they'll get up in the middle of the night, go sleep on the floor or go somewhere and everything. But Swifty, my pit bull, he wouldn't leave my side. Matter of fact, sometimes I had to push him out the way because he was so up under me.
Wow.
My other dog, her thing was, she didn't want me to stay in the bed. She wanted me to get out of the bed. She wanted me to move around, which is good for cancer patients, because the more you stay active, the more you try and keep your mind off of it. There is a survival in that. There is a fight in that. And so she was the one who tried to keep me active. My sister was my rock. She came down here and she's like, okay, we got to clean up. We got to do this. We got to put food in the house. We got to do this. We got to do this. Because, I kind of live sort of a bachelor's life. It's very, very simple. It's not high maintenance by any means. She came in, she looked in the refrigerator. Oh no. You got to put food in the house. We got to clean up. You can't be in here. You're already sick. You all can't be in the hell and dust. So she calls herself the chaos coordinator. So the chaos coordinator came in the chaos and coordinated the chaos and organized it really, really well. So I needed her to keep my keep the organization and to keep keep me sane and sanity. And it's been great because we've been nostalgic. I don't know if I told you, but my dad died in 2018, around Christmas of 2018. And so we do a lot of reminiscing about our father.
Okay.
And because he died of cancer.
Oh, wow.
And she was telling me, she was like, don't act like him. No, we not going, you can't act like him. You can't act like him. And I did. So I tried my best to stay as humble as I possibly could. I'm not one to take compliments very well, probably because I wasn't dished out compliments so much when I was younger.
You
So
were.
so I don't. So people would say, "Oh, you look so good," and I'd be, how do you say thank you to that when you're not feeling that way, or when you're not in that in that mindset of stuff? I've always said appearances don't mean anything to me. I've always looked on the inside of people. And so when people sit up here and they tell me, "Oh, you're so beautiful," is that all you see? Okay, all right. Thank you, appreciate it, but keep it moving.
Embrace the compliments.
I and I'm learning to. I'm learning to now.
Yeah,
I'm learning to now.
I embrace your compliment of my gray when you came on the screen.
Man, y'all,
like, look at the gray.
Look at the gray. It's just there. But you know what, Kyle? I lost a lot of gray when I lost my hair. It's growing back. Some of that gray is coming back right here on the sides.
You know what?
And some right here.
But I know you want the hair to come back, but the gray is it's a part of our DNA at this point.
The funny thing about it is I lost all the black. The gray was still there.
Really?
That gray is resilient, man. Don't get it twisted. That gray is resilient. Because, like I said, I lost all my hair but the gray. But the gray.
I said I wasn't. It's not even me to fight it. It's here. I mean, and it ain't going nowhere. So it's just, it's a sign of wisdom, I guess. But yeah, that is great to hear. I because when you sent the text, the first thing I thought was like, oh my gosh, she's by herself. Because like you said, you truly, probably more so than anybody I know, truly lived the bachelor life. And for you guys who don't know Nadia, it didn't take anything for Nadia to be like, oh yeah, I'm over here in Kansas City. Oh, I'm over here in Seattle. Oh, I'm over here in North Carolina. Like, she would just go. And like, I mean, she won't always have plans, but I mean, like, free spirit, on the move, a set schedule, but she's going to march to the beat of her own drum, always. So that was the first thing that I thought when you said that. I was just like, oh my gosh, she was there by herself. Okay, so I know you said you worked and you had to work. How was that? Because I'm trying to think of people that I know who have gone through chemotherapy, and I know everybody's situation is different. How are you able to go to work every day? I mean, other than having to go to work, but how? You had the energy for that?
Sure will.
Okay.
It was sure will. My job, most people who do know me know that I work as a microbiologist. I work at a laboratory, and I work and I sit at a bench. So a lot of my job is not really that taxing. I don't have to do a lot of moving around unless I just need to. So it was pretty simple for me to work. The first 12 weeks of chemotherapy didn't affect me like I thought it was going to. It did, but it didn't. It just made me really tired more than anything. So sometimes it was just hard to get up and go because I'd be so sleepy or I'd be tired, fatigued and stuff. But once I would get up and moving, it was okay. Now the drugs, so the first 12 weeks they put me on this drug called paclitaxel, which was a combination drug, and the biggest side effects that I had from that drug was mostly losing my hair, losing my nails, fatigue. It changed the taste buds because I couldn't eat certain foods. I would eat garlic, and garlic would stay on my palate, like it would sit there and resonate, and that's annoying. So I couldn't eat a lot of spicy or seasoned foods. So most of the foods I had to eat was bland.
Oh
Um,
no.
it was horrible. I do say thank God for Chick-fil-A. But Chick-fil-A had salads. They had chicken noodle soup that helped me eat and keep stuff down. So that kept my energy up. Thank God for fries because that kept me. But
Really? Chick-fil-A fries.
a lot of the foods that I ate during that time was mostly salads, mostly soups, and mostly fries. Um, I'll be able to eat a burger occasionally here and there, but a lot of the foods that I had to eat, I even had to stop eating bacon because of
Oh man.
how it reacted to me. Yeah, and I love bacon.
Yeah, breakfast ain't breakfast
Bacon
without
is its
bacon.
own food source. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So I had to stop eating bacon. Um, that was a lot. The anti-nausea medicines they had me, so I didn't have any problems with throwing up or anything of that nature. So it was just a matter of what tasted or agreed with my palate on my taste buds, and that's what I was able to eat, which was very very weird at times. Um, I got into this thing called dill pickle chips. Change your life.
I've
Dill
heard
pickle
of them.
dill pickle chips, not the Lay's. You got to get the Utz, the
Oh,
UTZs, the Utz.
okay.
Yeah, you got to get the Utz, not the Lay's, the Utz.
Wow.
Love dill pickle chips. Couldn't eat beef jerky anymore. Couldn't really eat chocolate or candy. It's just sometimes I would have to get food when I craved it to eat it.
Okay.
Your girl didn't lose no weight. She didn't run around looking emaciated and stuff and everything else.
You stupid.
That was, I guess, in its own little way, it's a blessing. I didn't run around looking like Crypt Keeper or anything of that nature. But the weight did fluctuate, and they
That's
had me
funny.
on steroids. Um, they just had me on steroids, which shot my glucose through the roof. I'm sitting here looking at my meds. I had to take blood tests before
Okay.
every treatment, so they had to monitor my heart, had to monitor my body chemistry and everything. The only thing that just really irked me was my glucose was through the roof. I mean, it was so much. I was just like, I'm not diabetic. I
Right.
don't feel diabetic. Why, And it had to do a lot with the steroids.
Okay.
And so now my glucose it's finally falling down in its own little way. Blood, they had to monitor my blood test because unfortunately chemo kills my white cells, so my immune system was compromised constantly. I had It was like the pandemic with me. I had to wear masks a lot.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah, you get exposed. If you get exposed to
they
anybody.
get sick, I'm getting sick worse.
Yeah.
That's something I just didn't want to fight. So, shout out to the to man upstairs. He kept me from catching anything bacterial or viral during that time. So that was crazy. Um, and then during that last bit of chemotherapy, which was, they call it the AC, which was adriamycin and carbotaxel. That was, I think that was when I really realized that I was a cancer patient, because the adriamycin was 3 syringes of this red liquid that the nurse had to push intravenously. And I mean, the nurse had to push it, not falling from the drip. No,
Right.
the nurse had to push it, and it was red. And what they didn't tell me about that drug was how deep, how it kills your dehydration. Like it will take your fluids and it will suck it up. I think I went to the ER more during that time than I did during the first 12 weeks of chemotherapy. It just because it knocked me out fluid wise. Like I couldn't keep up no matter how much water, no matter how much fluids I would intake, soup and stuff. It sucked it right up. So I'd have to go in extra days on days outside of my treatment just to go in and get saline bags to drop, fluids. And when my doctor said, Nadia, if you don't want to take this last treatment, you don't have to. Okay, cool. I'm good. I'm good. I'm good. I told my sister, I said, I'm gonna finish it. And that last time I was like, no, I can't finish this one. If God's giving me a reprieve, I'm gonna take it.
Right. Might as well. Might as well. I don't blame you. that sounded painful. Just listening to it.
I mean that was I mean the red drug, it discolored my urine. It and my heart. I think it damaged my heart a little bit. Because my blood pressure, even though it's normal, it's a little higher than usual. And because I have a port, I have a port where they put in the drugs. It goes directly into a vein that's directly inside my heart. So even though they were pushing it intravenously, it was going through that port, and it damaged the heart. The pharmacist, I was assigned a particular pharmacist. She oversaw my case, and she was telling me that it's going to discolor your urine. It's going to give you heart problems. Maybe not now, but sometime down the line. It's also possible that you will get another form of cancer after 10 years. I was like, no. And you give this to patients? So, no, we have to work on that. So, I was blessed with the fact that he really watched over me. My heart wasn't, I mean, I had to go through EKGs just to check the heart rhythm, the valves, the thickness, and I wasn't having any heart problems. So I would say, Lord, I was like this and the Lord had me like this. And that's the only way I could explain it.
Wow. That is truly a blessing. Man, so what would you tell those who are listening, particularly women? Well, not just women, because men too. Like I said, this is October is breast cancer awareness month. We always see the pink and everything, and while I have my issues with people who exploit that, it's something. Awareness is definitely what we need. What would you tell people who are listening or watching? As far as like, getting diagnosis or getting their checkups and everything like that?
I would say to women, don't miss your appointments. I saw everybody from the age of 18 to old, like 70s, in the treatment rooms with me.
Wow.
Cancer is hitting them younger now. It's not getting the old people. No, it's hitting them younger now. I would say at my age, breast cancer is par for the course because it usually hits women around the ages of 36 to maybe 50 to 60 years old. But when you have a young girl who's 18 years old, a young man who has colon cancer, I mean, think about it. Chadwick Boseman was 41 years old when he died from colorectal cancer. So it makes you feel invincible. It makes you feel like you're infallible at your age, but don't sleep on it. I had to have my colonoscopy on the national championship when Georgia beat TCU. because I personally scheduled it that way, so I didn't have to go to work that night, so I could watch the football game that night.
Okay.
So y'all see what kind of genius I am.
Right.
So I scheduled my colonoscopy the day of the national championship game, so I could be at home to watch the national championship game that night. Which 10 years, I'm good. No polyps, no nothing. They were like, you're free and clear. I've seen the pictures and stuff. So I'm good for 10 years. But your mammograms, get them done. Go ahead and get them done. My doctor told me in Texas that, once you get to a certain age, we'll do them every year. He said, but until then, just every other year. And they sustained me. I had my mammogram in June of 2023, and I was doing self-exams, and I had done the self-exam probably 2 months before she found it.
Wow.
So in other words, you can do self-exams and you still can be growing something. So please just go get your checkups. Please do your self-exams. Just realize that I wouldn't wish chemotherapy on my worst enemy. It is not a situation you want to go through. I went through it. I was strong enough to endure it. I'm telling people, I don't want to do it if I don't have to.
Right.
Hence the double mastectomy. Why would I keep something that would kill me? And that is a whole nother story in itself. The whole Reconstruction, we can talk about that later. We'll talk about that too later.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think, and that's the part of getting older that they don't tell us about. But definitely, go to your doctor's appointments. Make those. Don't miss those. If we can make it to the parties and the football games and the concerts, we can. And I know, I was probably like a lot of people 10, 15 years ago, apprehensive about going to the doctor because you're not sure. But, I also know that your body is like a vehicle. I mean, like, and I say this all the time, like, if you turn your car on Monday and something's rattling, when you turn the car on Thursday, it's still going to be rattling. Like, the rattling is not going anywhere. So you can sit there and try to play the music loud and act like you don't hear it, but it's rattling for a reason. It's telling you something's not right. So
exactly.
I'm so glad that you did your self-exam. And as a man, we don't really think about it, but I just processed what you just said. Like, you were doing self-exams, and this is just something that was found. I mean, imagine if you had passed it, oh, well, I'll go in a couple of months, then it's further along, down the line. And maybe your chemotherapy is even more intense than what it was.
Right.
But I'm glad. I'm glad you won. You kicked cancer's ass.
Sure did.
Cancer ain't coming back.
Nope.
Don't want to see Nadia.
No.
Don't want to see Nadia at all.
You don't want to fight with me. No, I tell people all the time, you don't want to get in the ring with me.
No. Because she's ready to rumble. She's ready to rumble.
I'm always ready to rumble. Always. It's never turned down a fight. No.
Listen, this has been, and it's funny because, like, I wasn't even thinking about. I think you would ask me something about the podcast, and I was like, you still got your blog, and I was like, yeah, but I don't really blog that much. I was like, the podcast is still going. I started, and you was like, well, hey, if you want to have me on to talk about it, I was like, I was thinking like I was just gonna get you on so we could just chop it up like we normally do. But I'm so glad that you came on and shared your story. Because listen, for as well as I know it, she ain't a big here's my business type of person. So, but I'm happy. I'm so happy for you. I'm so happy for you. I'm so happy for you. I couldn't wait to tell Sharice, one that you had asked about her, because she was like, how's Nadia doing? And I told her, she was like, oh my God, are you serious? And so we talked about it and we prayed, and I like I said, I'm happy for you. I am so happy for you.
Thank you. It's like I say, it's when I got to, I'm one of the lucky ones because I can read pathology reports. I know what doctors are saying in the pathology report. So I got the pathology report same time the doctor did, but I read it before she did.
Oh wow!
And I just negative. I was like, Jesus, thank you. I'm negative for everything. Because it was, I mean, even she removed 2 lymph nodes over here because she put in a contrast so that if there's cancer, it will change color.
Okay.
And she did that before I went into the surgery room. And so she took 1 from here and took 2 from here. And when the doctor said that there was, even though that the one she took out changed color, she said that, the doctor said negative. There was no cancer there. It was just a matter of, I guess, because it was so close to the dye. I was able to sit up here and tell everybody that the report was free and clear. And then she sent me a message and she said, no extra chemotherapy, no radiation. I didn't even have to go under radiation. Thank God for that.
Wow.
I just no more treatment. She told me, she said, I don't need to see you for 6 months. And then I'll see you again in 6 months. And I'll do that for the next 5 years. Until finally, I say around year 3, it'll be yearly.
Okay.
I'll be checked yearly. I guess in a way, it sounds annoying, but I'm kind of happy about it because it's done. I don't have to have mammograms anymore. I don't have to have MRIs because there's nothing there. I did get a lot of people asking me, well, you're getting a double mastectomy. Yeah. Yeah. That means you're cutting off your breast. No, really. I know. Are you going to get your reconstruction? No. Why? I'm 48 years old. I don't have no kids, so I ain't feeding nobody. What other than recreational uses, they're useless. They're getting away. So
recreational uses, that is so funny.
Other than recreational purposes, they're really not good for anything. So why? I had made that decision before I even before I even started chemo.
Okay.
And because it just doesn't make any point. It doesn't make any sense to keep something that's killing me, that tried to kill me. And my surgical oncologist, Dr. Lewis, thank God for her. She told me, she said, Nadia, I do want you to see the plastic surgeon just to weigh your options. And my options were that they will remove the breast tissue, and then they would put a spacer to hold where they would fill it with saline. Okay. So that by the time I healed, they'll go back in, take them out, and replace them with real implants. Okay. Do that. But you have to have maintenance surgery probably every 5 years. And I sat up here and I said, okay, doctor's name was Gobble. And that day I saw Dr. Gobble and his surgical resident, Dr. Putoff. Where did he get these names, man?
That was his name for real?
Yeah. Dr. Putoff. Yeah.
Dr.
Putoff and Gobble. I was like, yeah, no, y'all not gonna be operating on me by, general purposes alone. Your name is messed up. No. But anyway, I was just not gonna do that. I said, okay, next. What's my next option? Well, I could have got some free plastic surgery and got a tummy tuck where they sit up here and they take your skin and your fat from your stomach and they, construct you some breasts up here. That's a 14-hour procedure. Ooh. On top of them removing the breast tissue. And so I said, no, I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it. And so I was like, okay, all right, thank you for telling me my options. Yeah. Dr. Lewis was in the same office as he was. She just happened to be outside when I came out, and I was like, no. I'm not doing this.
Right.
I'll be just fine flat chested. It's all right. It's all good. And so, so no reconstruction surgery. I'm not going back to have them done. I can buy me some falsies off of Amazon.
And get your OnlyFans popping.
Get my OnlyFans popping, or get my I'm gonna get you sucker popping. You know, just sitting up here, just start taking off pieces of my body.
Oh man, that's funny. That is funny.
So no, I'm not gonna do any reconstruction surgery. Someone was telling me you might want him down the line. No, it was actually one of my best friends. We're not friends anymore, but he's like, you need titties, and I'm like, no, I don't. My identity doesn't live in my breast, so I don't need titties. I don't need titties. Now, if you want me to have titties, it's still you don't get a say because it ain't your body.
There it is.
And I even got people who tried to donate, and I was like, why would I take your titties when they're giving me problems? No, right. No. So it has been a whirlwind, literally.
Sounds like it.
It is truly a whirlwind. I can't really sit up here and say anything different other than the fact that it's just a journey I went through.
Mm-hmm.
It was a trial. I'm still learning from it.
Right.
That's the good thing about it. I'm still learning from it. There's always a lesson to be learned in all of this. But when he's ready for me to be enlightened on what his purpose was or what his will was or is, he'll let me know. Facts. He always has. I did say though, I was gonna stay up here probably 5-7 years, but going through this process and knowing that I want to retire somewhere else, I think it's time for me to go ahead and go. So I'm making, I'm moving one last time. Not doing it no more. One last time.
Man, well, I know where you gonna land, and we will. Well, long before then, we'll get together again. That's for sure.
Right.
But I got to thank you for coming on and sharing your story. And like I said, I am so happy because like it, everybody has like you said, we all go through stuff, and hopefully people that are listening and watching can understand and take a level of appreciation. Maybe your bad day just wasn't as bad as you probably thought it was, and the people that are going through a lot more, and a lot of the stuff that we do or health wise that we go through, can be prevented if we do what we're supposed to do.
Right.
And as we get older, those appointments and stuff like that are very, very important. We can't push them off. But yeah, I got to thank you for coming through. This has been dope. And I promise y'all, this won't be her last time on here. Hopefully we're both big Yankees fans. So hopefully we'll be celebrating.
Man, come on, get it. Let's get it, Yankees. Let's get it.
Hopefully we'll be celebrating really soon. At the time of this recording, the World Series is about to start. Right. Our Yankees will be playing up against those Dodgers from LA. I actually got a bet on the series with my boy Baylor, who's a fellow podcaster, my brother. Initially we were going to bet $5,000, and then we were going to bet $10,000, but we reduced it to lunch.
That's a huge jump. In other words, somebody said, okay, I can't mess with my 401k.
Yeah,
I'm gonna go and get this.
Yeah, we was like, all right, let's just put Roscoe's on it. so either Roscoe's or In-N-Out Burger. So one of the two. So I mean, like, I think that's a little bit more feasible than $5,000 or $10,000 bet. So especially considering the fact that I don't bet on anything.
Right.
But yeah, so hopefully our Yankees, we will have something to report very soon. Yes. But yeah, I definitely got to get you back on, man, so we could talk some music. We could talk. I mean, yes. we if you guys know, you've seen her on here before, we've talked. We literally could talk hours. For real.
Yes, we could. We really could. We could. We talk about relationships.
Mm-hmm.
We could talk about.
I think that was the last relationship
that was the last
show we did.
The last,
and that show might have been like an hour and 45 minutes. If I'm not mistaken.
Yes, it was. And we were just talking about this the ignorance and the silliness of females and males, because it goes both ways.
Both ways.
It's not just to one race, you know, one sex, like people like to say. And I don't know if my thoughts or my feelings have changed and stuff. So we have to revisit.
Yeah, we'll circle back for that.
We have to circle back there. I don't know
we
if
will
it's still
circle
the same.
back for that. And now, are you giving people out your blog, or?
I will put it this way. I'll allow you to give it out.
Okay, I'll put it in the show notes.
I send it to yeah. You can put it in show notes and stuff like that. I send out to people who I want to read it. Not because I don't want other folks to read it. It's just that I'm a very private person, and it's very weird how I'm a very private person in a very public forum doing public, public writing and stuff. But
you've always been that way.
But I've always been that way. It's just, to me, I've just never been that social media type person. I'm not that person that's out to promote. If you stumble upon it, hey, great. If you don't, it not hurting me none. I write because I write because I enjoy writing.
Yes.
And I enjoy putting my opinion out there. So I will allow you to give the blog out. Please go and see it. I think it's about 20 something entries there, and it goes into more depth of my journey, because I was at one point blogging every week, and then as chemotherapy went, I got tired, and there just really wasn't anything I could write about. So anytime I had something to write about, I would write about it. But I will keep that blog even after my breast cancer journey. I am going to get a breast cancer survivor tattoo.
Okay.
Once it heals, once everything is all good, I'm gonna put it right where the cancer was, and I'm going to put a rest in peace cancer, because I have dates. I have dates in my head and stuff and everything else. So I am going to get a huge breast cancer, survivor tattoo. That's going to be my last tattoo that I get until my mom decides to kick off, and then I have to put her next to my daddy on my arm. So,
only
that's going to be the
only Nadia.
Only me
would do this.
Yeah, only me.
Only Nadia would do this. Well, I got to tell y'all, thank y'all for listening and watching. I'll have her blog post in the show notes. Send it, read it, experience her journey. Like I said, this is a really good friend, and I am so I don't know if y'all can tell this, but I am so happy that she is 100% fine. Because when I got that text message, I was surprised. Like I said, I was just hitting her up because that's what I do. I try to make sure I text. If I don't call, if I don't do anything else, I'm gonna text you on your birthday and say happy birthday. But I'm so glad that you are fine. I want to thank you all for tuning in and listening. You guys know where to find the podcast. The podcast is everywhere: YouTube, Instagram, Twitter. That's where you follow me. The podcast drops every Thursday and every Sunday at midnight. We also have a new podcast called the Rap Soul Podcast. That's strictly music. That drops every Monday. So that's going to do it for us for the Cancer Killer. My girl Nadia. I am your boy 12 Kyle. We'll catch you guys next time. 5Gs.
Thanks again for listening to this episode of the 12 Kyle podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, make sure that you hit the subscribe button and share this podcast with a friend who needs the 12 Kyle podcast in their life. Every listen, every download, and every share helps us grow. Thanks for being a part of the 12 Kyle podcast community. We appreciate your support. We will catch you next time. 5,000.